platforms and more working from home. But there's nothing that embraces it more than the network marketing industry. And quite frankly, I look at my background, blue collar worker, high school education, learning disability, growing up in a small town in Minnesota, about 2,000 people, literally before I got involved in network marketing. I had not traveled more than 100 miles away from my hometown. I couldn't have told you, somebody talk about another country, I wouldn't have been able to point it out on the map. And this industry, I have now traveled all over the world, have had experiences that I don't think I would have ever been able to have, so I just want to, number one, just help you understand how incredibly powerful this industry is. And it's not just the money. It's not just the lifestyle. That saying Jim Rohn says, he says, it's not what you earn, it's what you become in the process. And really what network marketing does is we build people. We're not just building businesses, we build people. It was said at a mastermind that I was at with Eric Worre here back in October, somebody I'd known forever, a guy by the name of Sean Myers, with the very first company that I ever was with, a company called NSA, and he's still there. And he made a comment at that mastermind. He said, network marketing is personal development with a paycheck, right? I mean, that's really what it is. And the personal development part of this is phenomenal. I also want to let you know, for those of you who don't, I've written a book called Right or Almost Right. You can go to my Facebook and you can actually get a free download version. It's also now available in an audio form. So you can check that out. I'm not exactly sure if it's available in a printed form through that venue or not, but it could be. And but you can message me, private message me, and I can get you one as well if you don't have one. I have these little booklets as well. This one on network marketing, right? What is one of our biggest challenges is the skepticism about network marketing. This little booklet, size of a passport, is a great tool to prospect, right? To give to that person that thinks network marketing is not real, and helps them understand the power of this industry and why it makes so much sense. Overcoming objections. We're going to talk a little bit about some of this today and give you, I'm sure this will come up in the questions, but overcoming objections, using some of the tools and techniques. It's one of the most commonly asked questions. This little booklet can help you do that. Mindset. I mean, everything in life boils down to mindset. And this is just a nice little booklet guide for that as well. And then this is my personal philosophy, small steps to the top. It's kind of interesting because I live this without really articulating it and understanding it at first, right? And then once I put it to print, I realized that, this is what I am, I got a call coming in here, hold on. This is what I'm living, this small step philosophy. Essentially what the small step philosophy is never underestimate, right? The impact of every decision you make, regardless of how small or insignificant it is at the time, it does have an impact, and it does contribute to the outcome of your life where you are, today. Every decision we make. I mean, I look back to my introduction to this industry 32 years ago. I was invited to someone's house to look at a water filter. Initially I thought they wanted me to build a display or something, not sell, right? Because I literally wouldn't even say hi to anybody unless they said hi to me first. And then it was kind of like under my breath. But I went to this meeting. And the reason I'm telling you the story is because I was working as a maintenance person, okay? We had a breakdown at the facility. I ended up working, instead of getting off at 5 o'clock, I was working literally till 8 o'clock. And I just wanted to go home, right? I mean, I had a long day. I just wanted to go home. I was living in a trailer house at the time, and just settle into the couch, have some dinner, and get ready for the next day. But I made this commitment to go to this little home party. So I went. So think about that little decision to go to that meeting versus go home, and the impact that little decision has had on my life. But then think of the compounding effect of that decision as a result of me going to that meeting versus going home. Not only did I change my life, but my involvement in this industry led to literally changing thousands of people's lives through the introduction and the compounding effect of that decision. So, it's a great place to look at your life, where you are in your life today, and learn from the decisions you make and the mistakes that you made and the things that you've done right or wrong. I mean, it's one of the things I do all the time is I call it a personal checkup, right? I'm constantly asking myself, how am I doing? What can I do better? On a scale of 1 to 10, how am I doing in all the various areas? And obviously me, like everyone else, I have, all kinds of areas in my life that I'm not doing as well as I should be, that I need to be, that I have to work on. So that's part of life, right? We all have to learn and grow and identify our weaknesses, identify the parts of life that we need work on, and try to make better decisions. So anyway, with that, let's go ahead and jump into this. I have Rapshell. She is here to help me with questions. So we're going to open it up. If anybody has a question, I want to keep it towards business, right? I'm not here to answer product questions. I'm here to answer business questions on how to thrive in this industry of network marketing. So something that you want clarity on, something you want more, some ideas on, something that you're struggling with, take yourself off of mute and you can either ask the question or you can, in the chat, you can message and Rapshell will identify you and open it out. But in the meantime, while someone is thinking and looking to answer that question or ask that question, I'm going to throw out a couple of questions. So I put a couple of questions down that people ask me all the time. And what is the number one element for success? Okay, for someone's success. And I believe without question, it is your belief and your mindset, because belief and mindset are tied very close together, but people buy people. It's your passion, your posture, your belief, your enthusiasm about what it is you're doing that attracts or influences others. And if your belief is not in place, I mean, it's not so important that everybody you talk to buys your story, right? About how great your company is or how great your product is. The important thing is you don't buy their story, right? Every time you talk to someone, you're either buying or you're selling, meaning you're buying someone's story, right, about why it isn't going to work, or you're selling your story about why it is going to work, right? And whoever has the greatest level of belief or conviction is going to have influence over the other person, right? When you know, I mean, that confidence overpowers that fear. But most people are not, I mean, when you're talking to somebody about something and you have that definite of purpose, you have that rock solid, unshakable belief, you're 10 foot tall and bulletproof, you're not going to buy anybody else's story, that's when you're going to have influence over other people. So it's such of a crucial point for your success. When you're talking to somebody and somebody throws a negative out there or they're a naysayer and it like freezes you and you start buying into their story, you are sunk. Right? When you take and show your confidence and belief in something, you're going to make them hesitate and think, wow, maybe they need to take another look, right? So this is every element of life, but it's extremely valuable and important in this industry of network marketing, your confidence and belief. And so how do you do that? You stay plugged in. You have to, listen to the personal development. You have to use the products. You have to be engaged. There's a saying, that the heavy chains of worry are forged in idle moments. If you're not busy, you're going to start getting, stinking thinking, right? And just don't buy into it because it's devastating to your business and to your mindset. So I think someone tried raising their hand. Do we have anybody ready to ask another question? If not, I'll talk about something else.
Hey, can I chime in on one?
Yeah. Hey.
How you doing, John?
How are you?
I'm doing great.
I love the shirt.
Hey, it's a part of
and
my everyday attire. Sometimes, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, my question is this, and I'm glad Rapshell's on here too because it kind of pertains to her as well. But I'm in the process of rebuilding my business, and I know Rapshell had that issue, the same thing going on. And what's your best advice? I mean, my mindset's there. I mean, my belief is I this week, just for everybody, so they can hear this. I had 8 ladies on 6-day experiences this week on the thermo roast and the thermo perk, and they had amazing results. I mean, it was just phenomenal. And I had one lady that finalized it this morning, but I had a nurse that had 10 pounds that she lost in 6 days, and it is totally amazing to see that happen. I had a lady chime in this morning down 12 pounds in 6 days. So, I mean, my mindset has always been there, but when it comes to rebuilding, how far and how long do you drip on those that went by the wayside? I guess that's my thing. And what kind of advice would you give me as something to, help them?
Okay, well, that's a great question, and thank you for that, Kenny. And incidentally, I've heard the same thing. The tropical blast that just came out. I mean, people are having phenomenal results on that as well. But back to your question, and first when you started asking it, the thing that popped into my mind, and I remember, my youngest daughter who was involved working with me in the business, and she, had some success, and then she I feel like I'm starting over. And I said, well, if you're lucky, you're only going to have to do that 3 or 4 more times. Okay. I mean, network marketing is about building and about rebuilding. And any of us that have been doing any network marketing for any long period of time, nothing goes like this. Okay. It is a constant business of building and rebuilding. And so part of it is to try to level that off and maintain, because there's a lot of things that happen that are out of our control, right? So your mindset, as you said, your conviction and your vision and your consistency and your focus, showing that rock solid. Because if you start questioning it, whether you believe it or not, it just, ripples into your downline. Right, as you're the leader, so you've got that part of it down, right? You've maintaining that mindset. So there's another saying that it's easier to give birth than to raise the dead, right? I mean, there's nothing that 5 new people in your business won't solve, and getting that new person is just fires you up. It's they don't have the baggage and all that, but we never want to forget, right? We never want to forget about people. So you do want to continue to drip on them, continue to encourage them, right? But if there's a fine line there, because you can push them away, right? Because when people get in, but I think probably one of the biggest things, it's not just the business, it's because people get in a negative mindset. And we've all been there. I know I've been there. I've had that stinking thinking before, when you have that stinking thinking, you don't want to hear anybody talking positive. All you want to do is you want somebody to buy into your negative story, right? And so sometimes I like to use this in all parts of our business, is the feel, felt, found. Let somebody vent. I know how you feel. I felt the same way. Let me tell you what I found out, right? I mean, every business out there, because people expect things to be perfect. And nothing is perfect in life. If you go around thinking everything should be perfect, you're going to be miserable your whole life, right? Things happen to us that are not fair, right? And that can really affect your mindset. Something happens that isn't fair, and you dwell on it, and that drives your mindset into the ditch. And so, I mean, if you go around thinking everything in life is going to be fair, I mean, you're going to be upset your whole life, right? And things happen that shouldn't happen, and that's going to be upsetting. So helping people, I think, manage that mindset and that attitude, and look at the positives, understand there are ups and downs, and continue to show them success and your undying commitment. That's going to bring some of them back. Some of them, though, you just can't, you can't save, right? And don't let that affect your mindset. But there's nothing like new people. New people will bring back the old people, right? New people, new blood, new excitement. Like the story you just said about just getting a message on a 6-day experience. Somebody lost 12 pounds, somebody lost 10 pounds. That new stories is going to get, but we have to continue to connect with those old people to help them see those new stories, to reestablish that excitement and belief. So I don't know, I kind of rambled on that, but
hey, it was great. That was great. That feel, felt, found. That's great. That's going to be a great one for me when I'm reaching out to them, and let me tell you what's happening now.
Yeah,
that's what's most important.
Absolutely. Because if you get into an argument with them, they shut down. I mean, that's where the field found that it brings down their defenses. They start talking about this happened and that happened, and this changed and that changed, and I know how you feel. I felt the same way, but let me tell you what's happening right now, right? And every I don't care what it is, network marketing, any company has ups and downs. Any company has challenges. It's those people, because those challenges is what builds character. It's what builds strength. It's what people want to follow. So what do we have? Another question out there?
Thanks, John.
Thank you, Kenny. Somebody want to jump in? Take yourself off of mute. Let me look at some of the questions I wrote down in case. Okay, what's the number one? What's the top 3 tools? That's the question that I wrote down. What's the top 3 tools? When it comes to tools, too many times people make the business all about them, right? And the problem with that is when you're not there, you're not going to duplicate. If you make the business about the tools, your job is to stimulate an interest, not satisfy an interest. Because too many times, especially if you've been around a while and you know so much, you're prospecting, you have a tendency to want to, convince people. You have a tendency to want to, let them know all that you know and try to help them see this. But even at my level, what I do, I have a tremendous amount of knowledge and information, but I stimulate an interest, and then I get them in front of a tool, right? I always want to leave people wanting more. And here's the whole thing about using a tool. Using a tool, if you say too much, they're not going to, they think they know what it's about. Your job, I talk about, like telling somebody about a movie or a restaurant. You don't tell them the entire movie. Look at yourself kind of like the trailer, the trailer to a movie. You're trying to get them excited enough to want and create that curiosity and that sense of urgency, that fear loss to want to review a tool. So part of tools duplicating and working correctly is positioning them correctly. If you don't position a tool, they don't get listened to. If you just take and send out a bunch of messages to people without having that conversation to stimulate that interest, they're not going to look at it. You send somebody a link through app of a video, and if you don't prep, get them excited about getting that video, they're not going to watch it. So if I'm sending you, you're still on my screen here, Kenny, so I'm just going to use you as an example. I send you a link, and you likelihood you're not going to click on it. But if I talk to you first and I say, Kenny, listen, I just heard of something. I just found out about something. I've got something, right? You got to check this out. And you're like, well, what is it? I'm going to send you a link. Okay. Well, can you tell me anything? Tell me what it is. And I'm saying, listen, you need to check this out. And you build that curiosity. Because if I go into, it's this company and we have these products and we're doing this and we're doing that, you're like, it's another one of those things or whatever. But if I leave that energy, another line I love is, I just found out about something, right? Or if you push back too much, I might say, Kenny, listen, you're way too smart. And what I'm talking about here is going to be way too big for you not to take the time to look at what I'm going to send you. It's only going to take a few minutes. I'm going to send you that link. I am going to tell you as little as possible to build that interest and curiosity, where if you really want to know what I'm talking about, if I do my job correctly, you're going to click on the link. But if I tell you too much, then you think you know what it is and you don't click on the link. If I tell you nothing and I just send you a link without that conversation, you're going to think it's spam or something else. I don't want to click on a link because who knows what it's going to do in my phone, right? Or what it's going to do in my computer. So this is a very, very crucial part, because we have to get people to look. And, people say way too much, or they just try to take a shortcut and just send out a bunch of information without getting the person interest stimulated to look, right? It's a subtlety, but it is a huge subtlety, right, in getting someone to look. So, back to what are the 3 most important tools? I think number 1 is positioning the tool properly, using a tool that is duplicatable, like, we have through the app. But ultimately, I think one of the greatest tools we still have, and it's probably been the number 1 tool in the history of network marketing, is the 3-way phone call. It's third-party documentation. And here's, I'm going to talk about this real quick too, because this is so crucial, is how do you do a three-way? Because I have people all the time say, I know, but I can never get anybody to do a three-way call with me. And I say, well, that's because you're asking them, right? Because they think of the car salesman, they think, oh, I don't want to have this other person come in and, put me in a headlock and force me to look. It's uncomfortable, right? And so if I'm prospecting, Kenny, and I want to put him on the phone with an upline, I'll just, follow up with Kenny, and I'll have, let's say I'm going to do it with Dave, and I'll say, hey Dave, hey Kenny, I'm just following up with you, just checking in, and I thought you might have some questions, and I'm so new in this myself. I hope you don't mind. I've got the person I'm working with on the other line. His name is Dave. He's been doing this a little bit longer. I wanted him to say hi to you. And Dave, are you there? Boom. Now we're doing a three-way phone call. It's painless to you, but I got the three-way call done, right? Or another way to position this three-way phone call is, hey, Kenny, listen, I was just talking to my sponsor, and I was telling him a little bit about you. And anyway, I hope you don't mind. I got him on the other line. He wanted to say hi to you, right? And then that third party takes it over. But if I take and I'm prospecting you and I say, Kenny, I want to do a three-way call with you to help you here. I mean, especially if don't have posture, if I'm, you're going to probably give me pushback. I don't want to talk to another person. I just want to deal with you. Right. So I know there's controversy in this because some people say they don't like it. For me, it's the way I teach it is I'm going to have my third party on the line when I call you to follow up with you. And I'm going to use one of those two approaches. Is I'm brand new. I thought you might have some questions. Hope you don't mind. I've got Dave on the other line. I've got, my sponsor on the other line. Anyway, he wanted to say hi to you, and I thought he'd be in a better position. Or I was just talking to my upline and telling him about you, and he wanted to say hi, so we thought we'd try to catch you. Okay, so it literally 100% of the time is going to get to three-way call down. Now, you as the prospect, you see how easy that was. It was painless. And I set the example. Because everything you do, right, sets an example what others think they have to do. So that experience was training you as well. So as you're going out there, you're going to follow that same example, right? When you go prospect, and it felt good to you, if that makes sense. So let's go ahead and see what other questions. Somebody else have another question out there?
John, if I could piggyback
on
go
ahead, Kathy.
Talking about. This is Kathy Gustafson. And once that three-way call is done, I have a little bit of a problem because that person hangs up, and then sometimes I get cold feet and I get stuck. How would you recommend, once that three-way call is done, where do we go from there in a way that it's kind of smooth and can close the deal?
Okay, so a couple things there. Number one, when you go into the three-way phone call, you need to have that conversation with your upline about what the goal is, okay? So let's just say that, Kathy, you're prospecting Kenny, right? And I'm your upline. So you're gonna call me up and you're gonna tell me about Kenny, okay? And you're gonna tell me what Kenny, he was on a Zoom with Karen, and he's already tried a 6-day experience. You're going to tell me a little bit about where he is in the process, okay, and what the outcome is. But this is a great question, because the person on the three-way phone call should lead that person to the next step. But if they don't, you can do it yourself too. And here's the number one way that it works all the time. Is I would say to Kenny, after I'm going to, first off, when I'm doing a three-way phone call, I'm going to ask him about Kenny. Listen, Kathy's told me a little bit about you, but I'd love to, Kenny, if you wouldn't mind, share a little bit more of your history or background. What have you done in this? So I'm going to get them talking about themselves. That builds rapport. It builds trust. It's the first thing I do every time. Too many people make a mistake in three ways. They get on the phone and they don't let the prospect talk. All they do is talk at them. Get the prospect talking about themselves, and they're going to reveal, and I'm listening the whole time, right? And so then I'm going to say, well, thank you. I appreciate that history and background. I always love hearing people's stories and, kind of what their experiences have been. And let me share with you, Kenny, my story and kind of what my experiences have been. Now I share my story, right? And then I almost end every three-way with this. You know, Kenny, on a scale of 1 to 10, right? 10 being ready to get started, where are you right now? Okay, because one of the mistakes we make is what you have to do is you have to find out what's holding them back, right? We just think that we are just going to keep talking at them and they're going to eventually say, I want to do it, right? No, you want to find out what's holding them back. What's maybe, you know, Kenny may say, well, you know, I'm a 10. Okay, great. You know, Kathy will help walk you through the process to get you started. Now let's go back to the tool. Let's say, Kathy, you're pretty new. I'm going to go into the app and I'm going to grab the video, the little 5-minute video in the app that says, why start with a business pack, right? So many times people are afraid to ask for money. And so I do this myself. I'm prospecting. I sponsored somebody last week and they're talking to me about how to get started. And I say, I'm going to send you a little 5-minute video to help you understand the options to get started. Now they can do that. If I went into some, you know, here's what you all have to do. Now, after they watch the video, I'll reiterate it, but I'm going to use the video to help them get started. So Kenny says, I'm a 10. Okay. Let's say Kenny says he's a 7. Okay. I'm going to say, well, Kenny, you know, what do you need to see? What needs to happen? What can I do to move you to a 10? And then you be quiet, and it can be uncomfortable. And you want to find out, well, to be honest with you, you know, it's, you know, I've got a class reunion this weekend and right now it's just, I can't think about it. Right. Find out what's, or I really need to understand the compensation plan or finances, or I've got a negative spouse that, you know, you want to find, you want to identify what the problem is, what's holding them back. And then you can spend your time accomplishing that. So if I can help, you know, let's say that coming back, he has a class reunion this weekend. Okay, you know, great. So, so next week, then, would you say you're going to be a 10 yet? You'll be a 10 at that time and ready to get started. So this scale of 1 to 10 is always going to move the ball forward, and you're going to identify what's holding them back. I'm telling you guys, this is so simple. I do it constantly. I've been doing it my entire career, moving someone forward with the scale of 1 to 10. Now, the other thing, they have objections. I don't believe in network marketing, depending, you know, I can't sell, whatever. Now we're going to come back to the feel, felt, found, right? Don't argue with people. You know, that shuts people down. The feel, felt, found. You know, Kenny says, I can't sell. And I know how you feel. You know, I felt the same way. You know, I thought network marketing was one of those things where you make no money and lose your friends. Or, you know, I mean, I was, you know, whatever, take part of your personal story and adapt it to that feel, felt, found to move that process forward. The feel, felt, found guys are brilliant because when you say, I know how you feel, rather than arguing with them, you're agreeing with them. Okay. And you can't argue with somebody that agrees with you. Completely brings the defenses down. I felt the same way. Now you're empathizing. You and I are alike, right? But this is what I found out. So they're thinking in their mind, whether they know this is happening or not, okay, you agree with them, you bring their defenses down, you empathize with them, you and I are all alike, but yet you're doing it. What did you find out? So you really, you know how I feel, you felt the same way, but yet you're doing it. I need to find out what you found out. It's happening in their brain, whether they realize it or not. Those two little things constantly in the follow-up process. You know, put them on a little Post-it note, you know, put them on a recipe card, have them on your desk or by your phone to keep you focused on that process. Have that conversation with your upline about your prospect when you go into that 3-way phone call of what the person is seeing, what the objective of this call is. Maybe it's to get them to sample a product. Maybe it's to get them on a Zoom. Maybe it's to, you know, get that final decision to, you know, to join. So does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. I really appreciate the input. The other question I would have is, let's say this person decides they're like an 8 or a 7 or whatever it might be, and we don't really close the deal. So is there dripping that I can do? Is there some way I stay connected with them, either through texting or whatever?
Yeah, so that's a great question too, because somebody, you know, they say they're in, you know, a 7, 8, you know, and they can't tell me what's holding them back. Right? Then I'm going to maybe say this. I'm going to say, you know, could it be that you're a 10 right now, but you're just a little bit afraid to commit. Keep in mind, yes, you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. Okay, I'm here when you say yes, that's when our job begins, not when it ends. That thing that there's holding them back that may not move them forward is fear, right? Because making a decision to join a network marketing company, matter of fact, in my book, and I think it's even in the Valentis training manual, The Psychology of a Decision, right? Buying a product, that's like buying a lasagna, right? That's not a big decision. But joining a network marketing company, the psychology of exposing yourself to rejection. What are my friends and family going to say? Can I really do this? The fear of losing some money. There's a whole different set of circumstances that enter into someone's mind that you have to most people that join network marketing, they haven't sold anything. This is completely new to them. And you have to wrap your arms around them. If they can't give you a specific thing that's holding them back, it could be fear. It could be fear of failure. It could be, they don't want to articulate. It could be fear that what their friends or family going to say, all that kind of stuff. So wrapping your arms around them, saying, but if that still doesn't work, yes, you want to drip on them, but don't push them. Okay. You want to, pushing people will push them away. Well, yeah. That old saying, a person convinced against his will is of the same opinion still, right? You want to drip on them, care about them, which brings me to another quick question I'm going to bring up because it's on my list of questions if somebody else hasn't brought it up. What is one of the biggest mistakes people make? And it is they spend time with the wrong people, right? They're trying to make someone successful. You want to, and not that you forget about anybody. Don't misunderstand me here. Okay. Everybody counts. Somebody could wake up today and have maybe they lose their job or they have something happen in their life or they hear something or something occurs that changes their mind or changes their perception or all of a sudden the timing is right or they become the right person, right? So you want to keep everyone involved. I always say, your job as an upline is to keep people in one more day because you keep them in one more day, you might keep them a lifetime, right? So you're constantly encourage them, but you don't spend a lot of time with them, right? Because that's time you should be finding someone else or spending time with somebody that is ready. One of the mistakes that I see people making all the time is they're spending major time with people that aren't ready, right? It doesn't take a lot of time to drip on them. It doesn't take a lot of time to give them a little encouragement. But if you're spending major time with that, you're pushing them away and you're wasting your time when you should be spending time with the right people. So how do you know when you have a right person? Okay. I tell people it's like fishing, right? If you're fishing, I love fishing analogies. And I know most of the people here are women, so they may not be into the fishing, but I think you'll relate with the concept. You get a bite. You feel a little bit of a nibble, you get a bite and you start reeling the fish in. And you're asking yourself as you're reeling it in, I wonder if this is a big fish. If you have to ask, it's not. Okay. If it is a big fish, the rod is pinned to the rail and it's taken online, right? When it's a big fish because it's pulling you, right? So how do we relate that to our business? How do you know when you're working with the right person? Is when they're on the calls and you don't have to tell them to be on the calls. When they're asking you to do a three-way with somebody that they're prospecting, instead of you saying, do you have somebody I can talk to? Do you have a three-way? It leaves clues, right? If they're showing up, they're the right person. Hey, Kathy, are you going to be on the call tonight? Okay. I'm encouraging you, but when I know you're on the call, I don't have to tell you, that's when you're stepping up. Does that make sense? When you're doing the prospect versus me trying to force you to do the prospecting. Right? So there's little clues that make a big difference. It's when you have somebody that's doing it, because they're doing it, right? And it's easy. When you're working with somebody that's ready to do this, when you're working with somebody that wants to do this, when you're working with somebody that's doing it, it, and it's fun and it's easy. When you're pulling somebody into it, it's frustrating and hard, right? But we still have to do it. It brings me back to another thing I learned. And I was on an airplane one time and I can't remember where I was flying, but I ended up sitting next to a person who was a Crown Diamond or something. I mean, like a major player in Amway. And so I know I'm not going to recruit him, right? And so I thought I'm going to ask him some questions and learn from him. And I said, what is the most important, what could you tell me as someone that's been doing this I'm just getting started, right? Someone that's been doing this forever and having major success, you know, what advice could you give me? And he said, remember the 90-10 rule. And I said, what's the 90-10 rule? He says, remember that 90% of everything you do, you're going to look back at and feel like it was a waste of time. Okay, and 10% is going to be really, really productive, and you're going to know it. And he said, but here's the challenge. He says, we don't know what the 90 is and what the 10 is. So we have to do it all. Right? So you're going to have somebody that you're spending time with that's going to disappear on you. We don't know. We're not in control of the outcome. All we're in control of is our activity. Right. But we do want to spend the activity we learn, as we grow and as we do it, we'll learn how to spend our time in a more efficient, a more effective way. Right. So hopefully that made some sense. Let's do one more question. If somebody wants to jump in. Take yourself off of mute. There's got to be somebody out there that has a good question for us.
Hello, John.
Hey, how are you doing, Jan?
Hi, I'm sorry. Yeah, I have a question and I sent it to Ate Rapshal. It's a very generalized question because I noticed that most of the male in this industry are the top rank, But my question to you is, in your opinion, what is one of the most important leadership trait that a male leader can learn from women in this industry?
Well, I think probably the number one thing that women is I think they might be a little bit more patient, right? They're a little bit more, I don't know if the word is endearing or comforting many times, right? They're master relationship builders. They're great multitaskers. Men don't have a tendency, they're very narrow focused sometimes, where women are more multi-focused. But I think women have a tendency to maybe spend a little bit more time with people and be more nurturing. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for, more nurturing. So, and I think because this business is about listening to people. And so maybe that's it. Maybe women are better listeners. I think that also won't most of you women say that about your husbands, that they're not good listeners, right?
That's why I asked that. My husband is actually listening right now, so it's a good one.
Yeah, so listen more. I think that's probably one of the lessons that men could learn is, listen more, be more empathetic, be more, what was the word I used? Endearing or?
Nurturing.
Nurturing. Probably, I think that they're more nurturing. And so they may, in that sense, build a more sticky organization because it is a relationship business.
Thank you so much.
And that kind of brings me to one other little point I'll make about that, because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? This business is all about how you treat people, right? It's all about how you make them feel. Right? People want to be appreciated. They want to be valued. They want to be heard. Right? And so I think that's a very important note to constantly remind yourself. When you look at people as a dollar sign versus a real person and somebody that you're looking to try to help, that's going to be short-term gain for you. But when you really care, right? They always say people may not remember what you say, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. If you really connect with people, because this is an incredibly emotional business, right? Emotion is what moves people. Knowledge isn't what moves people. Facts isn't what moves people. What moves people to go to a higher level is tapping into their emotion, tapping into making them feel it. And women might be better at that. And they make up most of, the industry. I think like 70% or something. Should we do one more question? I'm enjoying this. Rapshell, do you have your hand up or someone else? You're muted.
Kathy raised her hand. Go, Kathy.
Oh, she was just like,
I was clapping.
oh. Is that the cyber clap? Is that what that is? Okay, well, then I'm gonna look at my notes to see what question I might want to ask myself.
Hey, John, Bill Ball here. Can you hear me?
Hey, Bill.
Hey, how are you?
I am doing great.
Hey, I jumped on a little late and then I jumped off and on and I stayed on, so I might have missed it. But, something that I think is really critical is getting your new member launched off the right way, like the virtual launch, getting them started. I don't know if you covered that or not, but if you did, I apologize. If you didn't, I think that would be a great topic, how to get your new member, how to get their business launched, the virtual launch, or, what you suggest for that.
Well, and Bill, it hasn't been covered yet, and it's a great question. I'm going to probably, because I know that you're just an expert at this area. So I'm going to touch on it, and I want you to share what you do, because okay. you really have this down. But here's what I'll say. I always tell people, there's two ways to build this business: fast and slow. Right? And fast works better. You want to create that energy and that excitement. You can only start once, right? You want to create that story. You want to create that energy. You want to, if we can put a paycheck into your pocket, it's going to excite you and attract others. Now, here's the best way to do that, right? Don't prejudge people. Get that list down, make it long and strong. And because one of the mistakes we make in getting started is maybe their belief is not there. They want to tiptoe into it, or they want to have success before they talk to their best prospects. Well, if they take that attitude, they're not going to have the success. When you're just getting started, I can be prospecting you, Bill, and you might say, well, John, what have you done with this? Hey, I'm 3 days into it. I haven't done anything yet. You're one of the first people I've talked to. But if I've been in 6 months, and you're saying, what have you done with it? Okay. So if you can build that story off, so emphasizing how important it is to get off to a fast start, but with that same thing in mind, what do you say when you've been in 6 months, you've been in a year and it hasn't worked for you? Okay. Then you come back and say, you might say to me, Bill, well, John, how's it going for you? I've been in 8 months. Listen, I did it wrong for 8 months, but I know what I'm doing now. Let me tell you what's happened in the last 30 days. So you can always create that new story, but there's nothing like the new story from the start, right? That compelling, exciting. I kind of joke about it. Having made $25 million now in the industry, I joke about it. I say I made it in 90 days. They've just taken 32 years to pay it out. I've created that initial story that I've told for 32 years about the impact that this industry has had and what happened to me in the first 90 days. So creating that 90-day story is crucial. Working with that person to push them out of their comfort zone, getting their list in place, getting that whether you're doing 3 ways or doing 6-day experiences or doing a virtual launch, as you talk about, Bill, let's get, and I've been doing this with a brand new person that I just brought in. We're doing a virtual meeting, private Zoom meeting for him every Thursday. But that's the way, we launched his business.
Yeah, and I think that's critical. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I believe you're right. When you start that culture, it really is something that permeates throughout the whole organization. So I just started that same culture with one of our brand new guys out of Tampa, and we scheduled his virtual launch on the webinar for a certain time. I think it was like a Thursday night at 6:30. And I coached him up on how to invite to it and get people there. He had 12 people show up on his virtual launch.
Wow.
We did a real abbreviated presentation on the product and had some great testimonials on there. And I told him the key was this. He says, Bill, how do you want me to introduce you? I said, Rich, the key is this. People have to know that you've done your due diligence. You've vetted the company out. You've already had success in the products. and you're very excited about it and you stand behind it, and they're going to gather all the information they need tonight to make a decision. I said, if you can introduce me that way and I can go ahead and present it, you'll have very much success. Well, we went ahead. He introduced me the right way. It was perfect. He had 12 people on. He got 4 people on tour, a business builder pack, and I believe there's another business builder coming on today. He had so much success with that, and he loved it so much that he wants to launch his people the exact same way. So, oh, sorry, I might have cut out there for a second. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, he wants to launch his people the exact same way. So I love the way that that duplicates and permeates through the organization, but I think that's a real great way for a new person to get started.
Yeah, phenomenal. And there's 2 things I want to just reiterate, Bill, that you talked about. Number one is how you just said that he wants to now do that with his people, right?
Right.
And so it comes back to something I did say earlier. I've said it a couple of times already on this Zoom, is everything we do, right, sets that example what others think they have to do. I mean, that's a crucial thing. How you approach somebody, how you launch somebody, how you use tools, how you do the 3-way, everything you do is teaching them what they think they have to do. So always keep that in mind. But the other thing that you said that's just so crucial to launching someone that way is that introduction. I mean, the posture, the belief, the energy and excitement that host introducing you displays is more important than your presentation. Because again, people by people, when if they are hesitant, if they're, I mean, they need to lay it out there that they are flat out in this thing. If they're testing it or trying it or whatever, it's going to automatically, have an impact on the people watching that. Thank you, Bill.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Hey, we're at 50 minutes here. I was only looking to go. Rapshell, do you have your hand up, or you go ahead?
So we are live streaming on YouTube, and we have a question from YouTube. So here goes the question, John. How much of a personal growth training should a leader provide to the team or for the team? So I think you answered this earlier, but I think she's watching on YouTube.
Yeah, the personal development is, I mean, I wouldn't be here today without the introduction of personal development. Like I said earlier, network marketing is a personal development program with a paycheck, right? And it's who you become in the process. Jim Rohn, my favorite, he says, you need to work harder on yourself than you do on your job, right? Work on your job, you make a living. Work on yourself and make a fortune. So we build people. The faster you can get someone into personal development. But again, they have to go at their speed, because if they're not familiar with personal development, if they've never done it, they're going to get scared from it. They're going to think you're crazy. You have to, and that's anything in our business. You have to, give them get their nose in the tent, so to speak. Introduce them, get them plugged in. You have to be plugged in, because just being involved is personal development. Getting on the Zooms and getting on the conference calls and just plugging in and paying attention, you're growing as a person. You're growing as a person, which brings me to one other quick thing. I'm just going to sidetrack here, because I'll find people that have gotten involved in network marketing. Maybe they'll look back and say it was a bad experience. And I would promise you, if they really look at their experience, even if they didn't make any money, even if on the surface they thought it was a bad experience, they became a better, stronger person as a result of being involved in network marketing. I mean, the people in network marketing, that are succeeding, they're some of the best people in the world, right? I mean, the way they've grown as a person. So that was just a sidebar, but you got to just kind of teach them along at their level, bringing them, getting them plugged in, and then maybe introducing them to what your favorite stuff is. Maybe it's Jim Rohn, or maybe it's some YouTube videos you can forward. Get them hooked on it. Get them hooked on it. Sending them a link, sending them a little video, and they'll, if they're like me, or they'll get intoxicated by the knowledge and the feeling they get from it, and they'll dive into it. Oh, we got another question here. Go ahead. Oh, you're muted.
Hang on. John, I've known you for a long time. You said, get your story down cold and deliver it hot with heart. When you're muted or greeted.
Hey, Dan, how are you?
I am incredible. Thank you for asking. Ever since I heard Haremza's love story, I feel great. And, you know, we get to hear John Haremza's love story, and that 10 times a day, somebody says, how are you? Just don't say great. Just say, thank you for asking. Ever since I heard John Haremza's love story, I feel great. And they're going to say, what is it? And I said, do you want to hear it live or do you want to hear it recorded? And then let John's message do the rest of the story. But what an honor, John. I've known you since diapers. I think I was there before, you know, your first trailer house. And, you know, really it was that first 90 days. And to watch John now 25 or 30 years later, and going out here on a Friday saying 52 times a year, I'm going to make myself available 25, 50 minutes to all of us, you know, is absolutely a gift for all of us. So that when somebody calls you today, you know, you want to say, thank you for asking. Ever since I heard John Haremza's new love story, I can't sleep. I feel great. And if they text you, you can text everybody right now and say, have you heard the news? Call me ASAP. And everybody is going to call you ASAP. They think somebody died. And you say, they're going to call, what happened? Say, I just heard John Haremza's new love story and I can't sleep. You got to listen to it. So you can imagine all of us doing that 10 or 15 times a day. Then when we're greeted over the next week, this call will have 10 times as many people. So with that, John, you know, I just always enjoy listening to you, and thank you for inviting me. You know, he took the time to invite me to listen to this yesterday as he was putting it together. And man, I'm excited, John. Back to you.
Well, hey, guys, for those of you that don't know, Dan Kinnison, he is one of the legends in our industry. He's been, Dan, you've been doing this longer than I have, I think, and have just, I mean, millions and millions of dollars in this industry. You've taught, you know, you've got your 5 core fundamentals that you teach, your wake up with Dan. I mean, but I've learned a tremendous amount from you. Matter of fact, when you said, get your story down cold, deliver it hot. I've repeated that many, many times, but the first time I ever heard that was from you. That's, I mean, this business, guys, is about taking what's working from someone else and using it. I mean, that's, so I've learned a tremendous amount from you, but thank you, Dan, and for your friendship as well. Okay, guys, we're coming up on an hour, so we're going to go ahead and say goodbye. I hope you enjoyed this. We're going to be back next Friday. We're going to do this again. Hopefully a whole new set of questions. We'll probably reiterate some things that are important. But I've really enjoyed this today. I hope you have. It's just fun talking about it and hearing what's on people's minds, and you know, not scripted, not, you know, just let's talk real. Let's talk real of what's happening and what's going on out there, and see if we can all learn from it. So with that, everybody have a fantastic Friday, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye now.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Amazing.
Thanks, young man.
Thanks,
Thanks, John. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.